Hello everybody, it's the 8th of July today, and just looking at these orange dream Japanese maples, and they have suffered quite badly with the hot, dry weather we had last month and the drying winds, and so we've had a lot of wind scorch, and they're looking, well, scruffy, I think is probably the word, and so I'm going to be leaf pruning them. Interestingly though, this little beauty, in a much tinier pot, hasn't suffered, well, it suffered a little but hardly at all. It's very odd how different trees can behave differently, I guess. All three were on the same bench, so it's not even really a microclimate kind of thing. Anyway, without further ado, let's bring in the potting tray to catch the mess. I'm going to start leaf pruning, defoliating these, in the hope that the new leaves will come out and not get clobbered later in the year, that is. Well, we will see. I'm basically going to start removing these tatty old leaves. I probably won't go as far as to defoliate the whole tree. But obviously these leaves are so damaged that they're not really photosynthesizing effectively. I mean, especially things like that. So it's probably in the tree's best interest to remove some of these. It will probably shed them at some point anyway. I'm going to make this a timey-wimey video. So I'm going to do a lot of this work off camera, so as not to bore you to death, and then we'll come back in a month or so, or I'll come back in a month or so and film the results. So you get the idea with that. I'm going to do that to both of the trees, including this one, but obviously not to the small one, and then we'll come back in a month. Okay, so it's a few hours later, and as you can see, I had planned just to remove the sunburned, wind damaged leaves and leave the rest, but I became, well, I find it very meditative, if you know what I mean. You kind of lose all sense of time and thought and just snipping away, and so I ended up with the first tree looking well, bare, for want of a better description, and I said to myself, well, too late to do anything about that, go steady with the next tree. And so I did not do that. Still, it gives me a foreshadowing of the winter silhouette, and I do like the way these two trees are so dissimilar whilst being similar species, and this one is much more taller and thinner and more elegant, whereas the other one is more squat and wide. But anyway, yeah, got carried away twice. Do I need to put a bit of wire on that? No. maybe, maybe not, but not for now. We'll leave it here and we'll come back and see when they start to sprout, see how they react. It's the 27th of July, and I'm pleased to say that the trees are responding nicely. Buds are popping all over. It's dropped almost all of its leaf stalks. There's very little dieback. There's a couple of pieces, but nothing to weep about. And this tree is starting to shoot from the top, showing its apical dominance, but not too badly yet, and I'll just need to keep an eye on it. This other one, I said, right, you've chopped me back. I'm going to respond nicely, but I'm going to respond mostly from the top, and I'm going to respond from the top very vigorously, which is probably why this tree is tall and slender in the first place, as I've followed its natural tendency. But I'm going to cut this back quite hard. I'll take that piece off entirely, because obviously I don't want it growing into a great big tall tree. And the rest of the buds are coming in now, and it shouldn't be too long before the tree is looking nice. There's a couple of buds on the interior surface, or the interior parts of the trunk that I want to wipe out, so that the tree isn't putting its energy into extra branches in places I don't want them. So for example, in the base of the branch there, we don't need that. But for the most part, this one's fairly clean. I'll pop them back on the bench, and we'll come back and see them again in a few weeks before I publish this video. It's the 15th of August now, and this tree in particular is demonstrating why I ended up growing this as a tall, slender tree rather than a short, squat tree like this one, by continually throwing up big tall shoots like this one from the centre of the canopy, even though I didn't really want them there. And so I'm having to need to oil my scissors by the sound of it. Look at this squeak. But anyway, having cut that back, I've now exposed two buds, which you can't see, I don't think. By cutting that back, I've now exposed two little buds that have yet to break, and another one in there as well. So I'll just pinch that piece out, and then hopefully they will pop. It's still got a number of buds that haven't popped yet, but it's coming back, and it's coming back rather gorgeous. Interesting that they're on the same bench, and from the same batch of maples I bought from the supermarket at the same time, but this one has got a much more orangey flavour than that one. Maybe it's just the amount of light from one end of the bench to the other, but again, this one has got lots of buds that haven't popped yet. So fingers crossed that they do. Let's pop them back on that bench, and we'll come back and see them next month. So it's the 14th of September, and the trees have grown well. I've still got a number of branches where buds haven't popped. I don't know whether they will die back over winter or not, we shall see, but overall the trees have responded quite nicely to the leaf pruning. They've definitely come in smaller, and this one just beginning to colour up. I'm not sure how easily that's is to see with the sun on it, but we're just beginning to get an orangey red tinge as the tree begins to colour up for autumn. Not a patch on this one. This tree is very much decided that it's autumn. This is purchased at roughly the same time from the same supermarket, but kept smaller. And yes, very definitely has decided autumn is upon us. These two, not so much, but that's well, maybe it's because of the leaf pruning, although I have other Japanese maples that also haven't yet decided that it's autumn, so well, we shall see. Anyway, I think I'll probably end this video here. Again, this tree is beginning to colour up, and perhaps I'll make a short or something when they're in their full autumn glory, but for now I think I'm going to finish here and just say thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Do all the usual YouTube things, liking, subscribing, comment below, let me know what you think, but most of all, please stay safe, everybody.